I experienced premature ejaculation for 5 years. And the first time that happened, I was wondering, what the fuck is wrong with me? I have a beautiful and hot girl in front of me, naked, asking for me to have sex with her, and I'm not able to do anything. I was very angry at myself, and I wanted answers to my questions fast so I could do something to fix this. At the beginning, I was blaming my inexperience and being young, and then I started to blame my partners because they were pretty hard or they moved so fast so I couldn't even hold it, right? That was the cope that I was having, so I didn't feel that bad with myself. But deep down, I knew that it was all on me. And when I started to look for answers, all that I found was trash. Some say that I have a weak pelvic floor, others that it was a clinical condition, and I even had people telling me that it was something genetic and I was doomed to suffer this for the rest of my life. Because I didn't know the cause for my premature ejaculation, I couldn't find the right solution. And I had to spend years shooting in the dark, trying different methods to see if some of them could help me. I felt hopeless for a very long time, but eventually, the things that I was doing, it started to work one by one. Thanks to the things that I did, I overcame my premature ejaculation forever. And today I want to share that with you. My name is Jesus Loya and I help men to last longer in bed, become sexually dominant, and be more attractive. All this while avoiding the deadly mistakes that I made through my sex life. This comes from my medical background of being a medicine student and 5 years of struggling with things like premature ejaculation, performance anxiety, and non-existent sexual confidence. Today I'm gonna save you from the pain of throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what is actually causing your premature ejaculation and not having an idea of what's happening. I will help you to identify the real causes so you can have a clear plan of action and start to address the root cause of the problem as soon as possible. And if you want to be able to fuck for hours and leave her biting in her lips and that she thinks about you just because of how much of a great lover you are, go and click the link in the description right now, because I know how soul-crushing it is to not being able to satisfy your woman in the way that you want. And I want to make sure that you live to what is your full sex potential as a real man. I'll do whatever is in my hands for that to happen. So again, go and click the link in the description now. There's 5 things that are actually the real root causes of premature ejaculation. You have psychological factors, emotional traumas, wrong behaviors, physical factors, and hormonal imbalances. I want to cover all 5. The funny part is that I suffer all those factors to some degree, and that's probably the reason of why my premature ejaculation was so severe. I was coming even before putting my dick inside, and sometimes just from making out a little bit. For the psychological factors, you have things like stress, depression, anxiety, low self-esteem and confidence. You know, those kind of things that people with blue hair usually experience. They all go in your head and make you feel terrible, but besides making you feel like shit, unfortunately, it can also affect your sex life as well. Premature ejaculation is very common to the people that experience all the things that I just mentioned. It is so much like that the other name for PE is performance anxiety. And this anxiety and psychological issues can come directly from sexual interaction. For example, how you feel with your partner, with your body, with your skills around sex. All that can cause some anxiety specifically for the sexual part and ended up being a premature ejaculation. However, the way that I usually see it and how I experience it myself is that the stress from other things in life ended up manifesting in your sexual life. Like everything sexual could be fine, but if you're experiencing things like financial stress or problems in your relationship, any kind of health concerns, all that can be reflected as well. The worst my premature ejaculation ever was during a big depression that I was when I was a teen. I got my heart totally broken and I spent a lot of time just crying in bed. I wasn't even eating. And when I started to have sex again, my premature ejaculation just got worse and worse. And it just kept happening over and over again. And besides the heartbreak, I was a loser. My life was a total disaster. And the premature ejaculation just made it worse. It was like a cycle. My life was trash and that caused me PE, and because of PE, my life was even more trash. And it was very painful, but in some point, something clicked in my mind. I was like, alright, 1 second, so if my life being terrible is one of the reasons of why I suck in bed, of why I can't even last long, maybe if I've improved a couple of the things, I'm gonna be able to be more relaxed and probably be able to focus more on solving this. And it actually happened. When I started to get my shit together in general, my sex life started to improve. And that's not a surprise. I was focusing on fucking years when I was sleeping in the couch of someone random. Life was that trash. And obviously when having sex I was going to feel like a loser. But once I started to improve financially, mentally, and I was way more calm, my timing, my performance, my confidence, all that started to go up. Because I was feeling way better with myself and less anxious, and with that my premature ejaculation would decrease significantly. So these are the psychological factors. Then we have emotional traumas, and this one is tricky because scars from the past or recent emotional wounds can manifest in your sex life in very painful ways actually. Some men cannot ejaculate at all or feel like repulsion for their partners. Some women, for example, start to cry or even get angry when they orgasm because all the frustration that is released out of nowhere. Would you probably experience that at some point where you're having sex with a girl and out of nowhere she starts to get like all moody or sad or upset? It can be in different ways, but that's usually because of those emotional scars. I remember that this happened to me with a girl. After we had sex, we were going to sleep and everything, and then I just wanted to hug her so we could be comfortable, and she totally rejected me. She almost freaked out. I was like, what? But what's happening? I mean, we already did this. What's the problem with me hugging you? It was weird for me, and I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I didn't act properly. I actually got kinda hurt because of that and acted kinda bitchy. I felt that it was because of me. After a couple of weeks, she told me that it was something very bad that happened in her past, and that's why she didn't like to be like hugged for a man. And then I totally understood that. Premature ejaculation can be one of the manifestations for those emotional scars as well. There are men out there that used to have no problems while having sex, that could last as much as they want, but after something traumatic like a breakup or getting cheated or finishing with a relationship of years, they start to have pain anytime that they have sex. And it's very weird because it's not like they feel sad or they're always thinking about their exes while they having sex, but it's still happening. It's because that trauma, instead of manifesting through sadness or emotional state, it has decided to come out as premature ejaculation. It's like there's a part of your mind telling you that something is wrong. Like that guy, for example, he looks like he fucked, right? He has a lot of money, he's super handsome, he's jacked. He's a great guy, but after the breakup that he had with his girlfriend, I think they stayed together for like 3 years or even more. Then when he started to date again, he couldn't last like more than 1 minute, and this kept happening over and over again. He even started to experience erectile dysfunction at some point as well. And he felt great, but there you have it, a healthy young man that couldn't get his dick up because of this emotional scar that he had there. That's why starting the healing process for these kind of things are very, very important. Bringing awareness about the things that is affecting you right now is a very good first step to start. And from there you start to work with it, with your partner and with yourself as well. When you heal those traumas, overall life is better. And once that anxiety is gone, be as well, because there's nothing harming you. It doesn't have control on you anymore. Premature ejaculation can also be acquired because we learn wrong behaviors, and this is probably one of the main for every man in the world, because masturbation and porn have fucked up almost every man. When I was young and I started masturbating, it was a total taboo, and I was like all shaky and hiding from my parents. I didn't want to be seen for them, so it was like always this anxious state, try to get that pleasure spike as soon as possible. Because of that, I got a lot of anxiety for all the things around sex, and a totally wrong perception of how sex is supposed to be because of all the disgusting porn videos that I was watching. I also get used to that ejaculation is supposed to be like the main purpose for any kind of sexual stimulus. Anytime that I felt hurt or just a little bit hard, I would run to lock myself into the bathroom and try to ejaculate as soon as possible. I was acting like a monkey, and once monkey learns, monkey keeps doing. It wasn't a surprise when my premature ejaculation was so severe. Now, for the physical reasons of premature ejaculation, I have to clarify this. This is not actually the cause for 95% of you, probably not even for 99% of you all. But most men will experience premature ejaculation and they think that is something physical. Men out there literally go out and cut their penises. They either get circumcision or even cut the nerves inside of them. And they don't see results because it never was any of these things. It wasn't something physical. When we talk about premature ejaculation, most of the time, you're gonna be able to treat it totally natural with no problems. However, I'm still gonna mention what are the causes for that 1% of people. But again, I'm sure that that's not you. I have never met someone with any of these issues. You have neurobiological factors that are usually things around the nervous system that cause abnormal reflex of the ejaculatory system where you can even like hold it at all. It's like the people that suffer like spasms and shit where they can't avoid like move their arm. It's similar to that, but with your ejaculation. It's super weird. And then you have other issues that may contribute to your premature ejaculation, like diabetes, thyroid problems, or prostate cancer, where as your body is not working properly, your sexual functions are usually going to be very, very skewed. Some people talk about genetics for premature ejaculation, but very straight, genetics ain't shit for this. It's like with going to the gym and exercise. Even if it plays a role, you shouldn't give a fuck. They don't matter as soon as you do what you gotta do. Other two things that I see men with premature ejaculation talking about all the time are oversensitivity and weak pelvic floor. Can any of this actually cause PE? Kind of, but it's usually not the main root. They may contribute to your premature ejaculation, but it actually doesn't play that much of a factor. That's why when you focus on fixing this, like with number screens for your oversensitivity or like making keels and squats, you see a difference, but it's usually not huge. It's like the problem is still there because you're treating the symptom rather than the problem. And when the symptom gets tolerant eventually, Like with number increase, for example, premature ejaculation comes back, and this time stronger. When I started my journey to overcome premature ejaculation, the first thing that I did was spending 6 months 6 months doing Kegels daily. I literally would have a timer and a notebook where I would track my workouts for Kegels. At the time that I had sex, I went from 45 seconds to 15 seconds. Great improvement. If anything, P just felt worse because I've been putting all this effort into those things, and now it doesn't even work. And it's not like it didn't help at all. What happened was that I was focusing on the wrong thing. I should be working on my mental state and other parts of my sexual life instead of just the Kegels. And I would say that the people that are experiencing improvement with this kind of things, if they do, because a lot don't, it's because they start to be more mindful of their sexual life and they start to improve unconsciously the psychological part. That's where the real improvement is coming from. In any case, adding more strength to your pelvic floor and working on your sensitivity can actually help you to control your ejaculation and improve the quality of sex. But when you're suffering premature ejaculation, it's not a silver bullet, it's not something magical as a lot of people try to make it seem. Now, if you want to focus on something physical, this is where the real beef is. This is the real meat, and it's your hormonal balance. Because hormonal imbalances directly affect your sex life. Hormonal imbalances is one of the main roots for a lot of sexual dysfunctions, if not the main one. Because if your hormones are screwed, you're not able to reproduce, you're not able to perform sex as it's supposed to be. And it depends on what's causing that hormonal imbalance. Some of these agents literally have the purpose to make you incapable of having sex. And they would try to do this through erectile dysfunction, low libido, depression, anxiety, varicocele, low sperm count, short dick, hermaphroditism, body dysmorphia, anemia, lack of motivation or appetite, etc., etc. Hormonal imbalances can cause all of this, and they come mainly because most probably you're putting something in you that is causing that, usually from the diet, eating plants, processed food, or whatever people with small dicks usually eat. And if you add to this weird substances like alcohol and drugs or smoking or vaping, then there you have it. Everything is fucked up. It's not a surprise that right now I may have the lowest testosterone that humanity has ever seen. From all the things that I mentioned, low testosterone is one of the main causes. At least at some degree, because for the level of testosterone that a man has, you can see how healthy he is, what kind of lifestyle he's going to have. And I can say with confidence that low testosterone is actually one of the main roots for premature ejaculation. And of course, low sexual confidence, erectile dysfunction, and being a massive bitch. And that was me before. I used to act like a little scared gear all the time. I used to spend most of my time crying with the smallest thing that happened in my life. I didn't have confidence in myself. I was anemic, almost anorexic, skinny as fuck, and my dick would be up hard, have soft when having sex. But no shit, I was eating a lot of plants, a lot of soy, low-fat diet, vaping, smoking, and drinking alcohol in special occasions. I was destroying my testosterone and my hormones constantly, and then I was wondering why I was feeling that bad. Now when I think about it, the answer was there all the time. It's just that I wasn't aware of it. And as soon as I started to improve that, I basically became a totally different person. I don't even recognize myself anymore from that guy that I used to be. That's why it's so freaking important focusing on our hormonal health. We need to stop all the artificial bullshit and embrace a natural state of living and a proper human diet. Those things are super important. Now, just recapping, what are the real causes, the real roots for premature ejaculation are psychological factors, emotional traumas, wrong behaviors, and when it comes to physical factors, the main one is always going to be the hormonal imbalances, especially your testosterone. Now, I know that was a lot of information, but I really hope I answered all your questions that you may have around what is causing your premature ejaculation. And now that you know for sure what is causing it, you can start to take action as soon as possible. And whatever is the reason, the important part is that you can actually do something about it. It is totally in your hands to overcome premature ejaculation, and that ways you can start to live a fulfilling and beautiful sex life. I really wish that for you. And again, if you want to be able to fuck for hours like an animal and be the man who controls her mind, body, and spirit, go and click the link in the description right now. Because we want to make sure that you live to your full sex potential as a real man. We want to eradicate any kind of obstacles that goes in the way for that. So again, go and click the link in the description. But besides that, man, I really hope this helps you, and I'll see you later.